Alright, so I'm working on a TG-CD dock station and I have no power. And I know it looks like I'm pretty far into this, but I'm really not. This is the connector from the power AV board. Just the red and black, or the power output from the board to, this is the bottom board right here. There's just 5 screws that hold it down here, and this belongs to that screw. And the first thing I noticed was the legs of this 15 ohm resistor right here and parts of the board are blackened and burnt. You can see it's pretty damn obvious there. But I still measure 15 ohms on it. So I started poking around a little bit more, and there's 7805 and 2, I think, power transistors over here under this, and this one is a 7805, so this is the 5 volts. And I was just kind of poking around, and I just happened to check, and it looks like 5 volt to ground is shorted. So what I'm going to try to do, what I was thinking about doing, was trying to eliminate if it was any other board besides this one. So I'm checking 5 volt, which is the far right leg of the 7805. And then I was also, at first I was checking to ground, and I pulled, let's see, I pulled this connector, which is just the power switch, and then I pulled this one, which looks like is just the switch for the CD player lock. And of course neither of those did anything. The problem is all these connectors down here don't just pull out. So I thought, well, I'll see which ones have a 5 volt and a black wire. Since we have continuity ground, a black wire is just ground. So I was looking for a colored wire that had 5 volts. And this is the only one that I get a constant 5 volt on. So I'm thinking either try to desolder and pull just that wire somehow out of that connector, or desolder all the pins and pull the entire connector out. It's really hard to tell. Yeah, I guess I can kind of see the lock on the bottom side there. I might be able to desolder just that pin and pull just that pin out. Okay, I hit it with the Heiko 808 already. Finding access to the lock is probably going to be my big hurdle here. But I'm trying to isolate the short and see if it is this board or one of the other boards inside the dock. There we go. Yeah, I wasn't able to hit the lock at all, but I was able to move around kind of a tooth of that connector. I mean, it's soldered down, so it doesn't really have to be locked, but this will at least tell me if I still have a short. And I do not. Look at that. Let's see if I still got from 5 volt to ground. I do not. So now I know the short is somewhere wherever this wire goes. So I'm going to have to dig a little further down into the dock station here. Before I do that, I actually desoldered and pulled the legs up of the 7805 If you see that they've been pulled out, that's because at first I was kind of curious if it was just the 7005 had failed. So I pulled all the legs out and the short remained. And just by looking, by pulling on that orange wire, I can tell that it goes to the connector on the board for the big connector. So I'm gonna have to desolder a couple ground straps here. Just so I can even access it. Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of, is still not the greatest access. And it looks like we got a bunch of shielding to deal with here too, so I'm going to deal with that off camera here. Well, first off, there's 4 screws holding the board to the plastic, but also looks like they're holding down the heat shield, and possibly maybe these 2 screws. And ground straps also. Boy, wouldn't be an NEC product from the late 80s if it wasn't intricately RF shielded, right? So, again, nothing is really jumping out at me. I don't see any blown chips, no blown caps. Just nothing obvious. That's too bad. I like obvious. Who doesn't? So I guess I'm gonna have to have a little more poke around here. Got a couple more, 3 more chips hidden underneath this thing. Again, none of them are cratered and obviously blown. That'll give me access to the wire from the bottom at least. Not sure if this is showing up, and I'm not sure if this is the problem yet, but it looks like right here and a little bit right here there's some solder spatter. And I don't know if I did that when I took off the shield. Perhaps. Makes me want to look over the rest of the board really closely. Like I said, I don't know if that's going to fix it. No. Oh well. I was hopeful for a second. Okay, I'm going to do something I've never done before. I'm going to use my new LeakSeeker. I seriously have had this for at least 2 years now, maybe longer. I can't even remember when I bought it. And I've just never really had a reason to pull it out before. Basically what it does is it'll test for really, really low ohms, and as you probe around the board and get closer to the short, it'll show yellow and green LEDs to say you're getting closer, you know, and if it gets back into the yellow or back into the red, then you're getting further away. So it's supposed to tell you, you know, within reason where a component is shorted at. So you put it in norm, hit reset, and then I'm going to touch the wire. You got 1 wire on ground right here, and I'm going to touch my 5-volt wire here, and I'm going to wait till it comes down to a really low reading here. Once it's on a steady reading, which is still in the green, so I'm actually going to switch it up to medium here. I might even have to go to high. Still in the green. Let's try high. There we go. Way down in the red. So basically I just follow the trace around and touch it. Oh, I went real high right there. And that's lower. Okay, right away, just a couple components in. So I got two inductors here. This was actually closer to the 5-volt wire. It's up in the yellow. That's in still red and yellow. So now I'm on this side of the inductor and it went way high, so it recalibrates again. Okay, so now I'm in the yellow again. It looks like it goes over to this cap. That's still in the go further down the trace and don't get nothing. So it could be that cap already. Is our problem component. It's kind of funny now that I'm not getting nothing though. Oops. Yeah, I accidentally touched ground. And whenever it says whenever you touch ground, it recalibrates itself. So you need to go back and touch your last known pad. Recalibrate again. Isn't that funny? I just go from that pad to that one to this one and I get nothing down here. Let's see. I'm going to reset again just because it's kind of fun. Recalibrate on the main wire. We'll go to this inductor, which goes higher. That one's also higher. And that one's lower. Okay, let's go on this side of the inductor. Nothing. And then bam! Right back to that capacitor. And down to that one and nothing. Boy, that's strange. It's only slightly higher pitched, but when I come down to this one I get nothing. I'm positive that's the same trace. Yep. So now we break out the LCR meter, test that cap, Oh, look at that. I don't get a rating at all. It's all over the place. So almost immediately what I want to do is to pull that cap and retest. So I'll get the desoldering gun heated up here. Okay, desoldering gun's heated up. Cap is out. I mean, it's not domed or nothing. 6.3 volt. Looks like it's 100. It just says 100, 100. I can't really make, it's an 85C, but I can't make out the manufacturer. But obviously the big test is, did that fix our short? Look at that. Huh. I believe that has gotten rid of the short. Super. Let's see, I think, yeah, that's ground. So I'm going to test some other points. Other 5 volt points I found earlier. Super. Well, that's excellent. So let's see if I can find a cap to put in there and maybe put this thing back together and see if it works. Okay, so new cap soldered in place. Just to be super anal, recheck continuity, and we are good. That initial beep is just some cap de-energizing. Cool. So I guess I'll try to put it back together a little bit and maybe get that 7005 put back in and maybe try it. Yeah, this seriously might be the most intricate RF shielding that I have ever dealt with on anything. The top and bottom halves like click together on 3 sides. Like right here. See that? Back here and over here. And you got to make sure to get in front of these tabs, these mounting tabs. And even then you got to line it up with the plastic after all of that. It's crazy. Okay, first let's test everything with a known working setup. Okay. Then our repaired station. Yes, that does have to be on the CD lock. Hell yeah. Okay, I was almost completely done with this video and I realized I actually did not solder that wire back on to that bottom board. So, and it worked. So that means to me that the board that had the short was probably related to running the CD-ROM. So I want to test that as well. Yes, I've soldered it in now, of course. We got a bad CD-ROM here. This might be one of those that I have not actually repaired the gear in yet. I don't hear it moving. No, it didn't move. Must be a bad gear. Okay, so I need to find a different one of these. Okay, different CD-ROM. Again, I still don't know the condition of it. It's spinning. Good enough for me. Oh, it just takes forever for these things to load. Yep, okay, we got sound. Repaired. Okay, just as a little bonus for people who love super rare shit. Okay, just TGCD. What I found inside of the carry case. This might be the rarest TGCD item that I own. It's just the cover for the back of the CD player, because you could actually use this just as a portable CD player. Ridiculous. I had no idea that was in there. I don't think this thing had a battery compartment. So maybe you had a battery pack that you carried with you. But I mean, you could use it as a car CD player, I guess, if you had a... I used to have one. I used to have a Sony that looked just like this, and it had its own little dock. Ran wires up to like a cassette adapter. That's how I listened to CDs back in 93, 94 with my first car. Yeah, so probably the rarest TGC item I own, this little stupid little cover. Very happy with that. So I think I gave $80 shipped for that, and yeah, I had to spend some time on it, but you know, now it might be worth double that now just because it works. The docking station is pretty hard to get a hold of. So I have to say, for a first time using this was awesome. I bought this as a result of a Turbo Duo that I had a short on, and there's some videos about that. It might have been more than 2 years ago now. It was something stupid that I did. It was about the time I started putting surface mount caps in instead of the leaded caps, the regular electrolytic caps, and somehow or other I had bridged solder across the top of one of those surface mount caps, and I had a short, and I could not figure out what happened. And I think at the time I was just a little too lazy to really look at each component, you know, and you know, you should always check what did you recently change or what did you recently do, and I just didn't. You know, I wasn't looking at the caps. It just didn't make sense to me that a cap would a ceramic cap would be shorted. So at that time I had bought this tool, Testex short sniffer. And I think I made a video about this, and I honestly just could not get it to work for that Duo. And I knew about the LeakSeeker, but I think it was out of production and just couldn't get one. But I think this short sniffer was really meant for testing bare PCBs. This is the bare PCB that it comes with, and there are in fact shorts on here that were purposely put in. There was just a really tiny short in there, and a couple traces that get really close. So I think that's why I couldn't get this to work for that short. And then it was, I don't know, it had to have been pretty recently after that video was made that I actually found out that Electronic Design Specialties was making a new LeakSeeker, and I got in on that right away. I don't remember how much it was. It was, I mean, it wasn't cheap. I would say it was $150 to $300. I can't remember exactly. So this is actually the first time since I've had it, you know, for 2 years, I've actually busted it out, and it worked flawlessly. So, you know, if you're a modder or a repair technician and you actually get into situations where you've got components that are shorted out like that, I think this thing would be invaluable. I mean, I found that short, you know, within minutes of having it open, or, you know, within minutes of finding out that I had a 5 volt to ground short. So, you know, yeah, I definitely wish I would have had this back when I screwed up that Duo too, because I think that Duo sat on the wait list for a month or two before I finally just happened upon that short. I don't remember even how I happened to find it, just poking around again. Maybe it was when I had the sniffer out on it, and I just happened to see it, because I could not pinpoint it with the sniffer. But I bet I would have pinpointed it a lot quicker with this thing. So yeah, 2-in-1 video for you, kind of a review of a electronics diagnostics tool and a repair of a TG-16 dock station. Hope you enjoyed it.